according to your interpretation.
Well, I'm simply trying to say the conflict in the code of conduct, which there is a conflict in it.
But it does prohibit council members from doing that.
It does in one section, and then in another section it tells how they can do it. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not.
One or the other. You can't have.
Well, yeah, but except
Well, whoever wrote the code of conduct maybe didn't get it right, okay?
the article itself is one or the other, the code of conduct, and maybe we should change it.
Maybe it's something that the judicial as a whole should revisit and make a determination before you make a decision tonight. Let's
Well,
get a review.
I think this issue, though, can't be based on a new code of conduct.
That's right.
I think this issue has to be dealt with, and I know, Susan, you're not happy,
No.
but I would like to make a motion that we approve the invoice and depreciate the tablet off of the amount.
Does she want that tablet? I guess
She
everybody's gonna
had it back
automatically
in,
do
so I
it. She
assume she
didn't.
wants
Okay,
it.
I didn't know she didn't, so.
If she turns it in, then the motion can read, if she returns the tablet unaffected,
I just was.
then we
curious.
pay the full amount.
The motion sounds
Okay.
good to me.
Can I ask one other question? When did we receive this money? When did the Delaware tribe receive it?
Wow, I'm gonna have to, it seems it was, Chief, I'm gonna have to go back and look at my records. Maybe sometime in mid-August, mid to late August, that we finally got the award letter.
Something like that.
I'd have to go back and really, quite frankly, it was an extra $130,000 or $150,000 added on to our already existing ATG contract. So, I mean, that's kind of a one-time shot. Once we spend that money, it's gone, and there won't be any annual replenishment.
So it's kind of like the new tribes money we got in '98 under
Yeah,
your
that's
administration,
right.
which Titus and I worked on.
Right, very, very similar concept, correct.
I guess my only regret is that this invoice didn't appear
Well,
before November 1st.
My whole point is that the prior tribal council could easily have taken care of the matter if they had received the bill.
Yes, you're right. It didn't, the bill didn't come in until after the election.
So at the time of at the time the grant was being written, was there awareness of the conflict of the previous payment on the grant, the other grant we received?
Well, I can't read the minds of our tribal council members, but they were certainly aware of the controversy that came up regarding the child support grant. And there was, I believe, due consideration in their verbal discussion amongst each other. And no one raised any objections to the idea of we got to get this done. That Jennifer said, look, I can help write this thing. I would like to get some compensated. I am paraphrasing now. I'm not quoting her word for word. But basically, I'd like to get some compensation for this. And everyone kind of looked and said, yeah, okay, we expect that that's going to happen. You get with Curtis and get it done. We did not see an invoice with an hourly breakdown or anything until after the election. And basically, she was on her way out. That, again, we should have followed up at a council meeting and approved by vote in a formal motion of the council. It didn't happen, but that doesn't negate the fact that this council as a whole had no problem with proceeding verbally with the directives that we had. And, you know, when you don't follow up and formalize it, this is what you get, is this kind of discussion.
And I think that's why we want to eliminate all these workshops and things, is so, and are spending now going on 3 hours keeping people informed. And I just, my regret is that this didn't get taken care of before November 1st. I would still stand with the motion I just made.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to pay this $6,500
In full,
if the computer's returned.
and if not, we will
deduct the price.
depreciate it. Call for question.
Question's been called. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Is that,
I said aye.
those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 3-2. I'm abstaining. Failed. It would have failed even if I hadn't abstained. It would have been a tie vote. No, it would have failed. Delaware Indian News.
I put this on the agenda because we are, it's our first issue to come out, and we've had to deal with so many things, and spend so much time on so many things that, our council articles are not ready. We didn't know where to start, where to end, who to send it to. So I am just making a recommendation that we put off submissions, and everything needs to be submitted by January 4th. That's the 5th, I'm sorry. That's the first Monday in January.
So we're not having a January newspaper?
Well, we'll get it out, it'll just be late.
Oh,
If we get everything in by January 5th, then we can turn it around, and it will be late, but then hopefully we'll get back on schedule with the paper.
or we could just do away with the newspaper. I don't think it serves any purpose anymore, to tell you the truth. I don't know if anybody ever reads it. On the last two or three articles I put in there, I said, I've written things that shouldn't be, have some discussion points, and nobody calls me and says they disagree, agree, or nothing. And I don't even know if they read it.
I would hate to see us do away with it.
Well, I mean, I would hate that too, but maybe there's another way to publish it.
I mean, I
Publish it over
think-
the internet or something.
Well, and we do put it online, it's on our website.
Did you ever get any comments? I know, it's just amazing to
A
me.
lot of people,
Over all
I don't
the-
comment on the Examiner Enterprise either, but
I think there's a certain, age group wise, and I hate to be judgmental, but you have a certain readership that's over a certain age that tends to like newspaper, and certain younger generations tend to like the internet, and so we want to appeal to both ends of the spectrum.
And I have heard like from Jay Johnstone and people who said, had emailed me and said, I read this in the Den. Tell me what you think about that, or I read your article in the Den. So I'm not sure how old Jane is, but
Jane's younger than we are, a
Okay.
little bit. No,
Okay.
well, she's probably your age.
okay. And so, but I know she reads it, So I think there are people my age probably and older who do read it. Nikki, not so much.
I do.
Well, but
You're forced to read it.
you read it online. You read it online though, or,
Well, on that note, we have most of the reports from the departments in the tribe side. I just want to say thank you very much for our staff for hurrying and getting their reports into me. It's just some of the other articles, and also we needed to make sure Greg was on board with doing it. But we are advertising for somebody to actually do the DIN and most of the public relations in the next issue, so.
Does Greg know that you're going to publish in January instead of December?
Yes, I've talked to Greg, and he just knows we're gonna be a couple of weeks late, yeah.
So
And
what's
he
the
was,
actual publication date?
it takes about 2 weeks after, so it'll probably be the end of January, no, the mid-January. 20-something, I would think. It'll still say January 2015 on it.
Okay.
I would think if we get everything to him shortly after the 5th, it'll get out before the end of the month.
Nancy?
I would like to keep the den. I read it, and I get mad and I throw it, kick it, and stomp it. For the simple reason, a lot of it is, I would like to see more newsy stuff about individuals. Stories of what's going on with our tribe as far as, like Christmas party, stuff like that, instead of all this political BS.
Kind of public interest things.
Yes, and not, and I like to read the minutes, but sometimes they can drag on, and just kind of like the meeting, they drag on. All I'm saying is, if you would make more of an effort to kind of get it a little, modernized,
Okay, and Nancy-
to more.
That was my idea in putting it off, was that front page needs to be news. No offense to Chet, but I think the chief's views on the front page, I mean, it was like, that. It just sounds like propaganda. You're patting yourself on the back. You're telling people what you want them to hear, not what really happened.
Right.
In the perfect world, I would like to eventually establish an editorial board, and where it's taken away from us,
Yeah,
and somebody actually prints the news, and not our side,
right.
but does,
I haven't tried to remember had their outlook on it.
Yeah. yeah.
I know we've got some people out there that can write good articles, we just need to let people
Right.
know that
Right.
their articles would be more than happy to be in there if they would like to write an opinion or whatever.
Well, and anybody can submit an editorial from what I understand.
Yes, they can.
So, you could write an editorial and we would publish it.
Yeah, write an editorial about what you like, what you want to see in the paper. That would be a good editorial.
My editorial about the den. Byline, Nancy Sumter.
Or what I would like to see in the paper is, and it's listed, and you might get other people doing the same thing, and it gives us some guidelines on what to go by. Maybe.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we extend the deadline for the article of the den, for articles to be submitted instead of yesterday, that they be submitted by January 5th. And each council member
I
needs,
didn't meet the original.
each council member needs to submit an editorial.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
I have got to announce that we have two council personnel committees and two trust board members on it. And Councilman Nathan Young told me as he was leaving the meeting that he wishes to resign effective this meeting. So this council needs to select one other.
Yeah, Nikki's looking confused but what Nathan told me is now with the granddaughter and stuff, that it's like, I guess, the mommy works in Tulsa. The dad has a job where he travels now, and so Nate and his wife have the little girl, and she's got ballet one night, and something one night, and something one night, and so he said he just does not have the time. He doesn't feel like right now because he thinks the granddaughter needs that time.
The personnel committee or the?
From the personnel committee, not the tribal council. No, the personnel committee.
This is a committee.
Just the personnel
No,
committee.
Nathan Young.
Council.
Nathan.
I don't know what son, I just know a son.
clarify.
From the Personnel Committee.
From the committee.
Let's get this straight. Nathan Young is resigning from the Personnel Committee, not the Tribal Council.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can,
everybody
well,
breathe.
let's ask
So-
Benita, can the committee, I think you've got a meeting tomorrow night?
Yes, we do have a meeting tomorrow night. So right now, the Personnel Committee consists of two people from the Trust Board, which is Verna Crawford and Joe Brooks. And we have Mike Taylor as the HR manager. We had two people from the council, which I was nominated as the chairperson of the Personnel Committee, and Nate. So now we need one person from the council to continue that committee. Now, this committee was a temporary solution for a 2-month period. There has been a lot of activity around that personnel committee, and out of that is, looking at our policies and procedures, which Mike and I will continue working on. But we do need to follow up with structure and how, the future is going to look like for that personnel committee. It was landing in the arms of the council, and we wanted to remove it from that responsibility. So yes, I do think we need to elect one person off of the council to continue. We've been meeting weekly, every Wednesday. You can call in if you need to, but we have a meeting up here in the building.
Okay, but they can call in.
Yes, they can call in. We can still continue our meetings. They've been lasting, try to end them in an hour, get through quickly.
Is there, I think, do we need a motion to appoint somebody, Chad? Or if somebody,
Would a councilman like to volunteer?
Michelle Holly.
That would be my vote.
I'll nominate Michelle Hawley to replace Nathan Young on the Personnel Committee.
I'll second.
Do I hear other nominations? If not, all in favor of electing Michelle Holly to the personnel, or appointing, to the personnel committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain. Or maybe, I don't know if I want to say thank you or not.
Titus French?
Are we to the old business yet, or anything of that sort?
That was many
Well,
hours ago,
we're
Titus.
yeah, we're like saying new business, but
Two quick questions. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 council meetings ago, I asked 2 questions, and I want to ask them again. Number 1, what's progress on developing rehab program for tribal elders housing? Housing rehab, that's my question. At one meeting, everybody was gung-ho, yes, we can do it, yes, let's do it, get out there and get the hammers and whatever. I haven't heard a word since then. Second question, what are we doing in Kansas? One of the biggest land purchases in 1,000 years for our tribe, and nobody knows anything about it. There's nothing written about it, nothing printed, talking.
Trust
We
me.
don't know the details.
We don't
I
either.
asked for the details. I was told we should not be able to be privy to that information. For $1 million, we should be able to know what kind of toothpaste they use. It's that accountability, that attitude. We don't deserve to know. We need people to know so we can hold people accountable. Thank you.
Hey, Titus, one of
Yes.
the things, I know that before Gay left, he wrote a summary of everything that.
Would you share that?
I would love to share it with.
Would anybody want to share
Yeah.
that? We don't.
Why don't you give me your email address and I will have.
Why don't we put it in the paper so everybody can see?
It's pretty lengthy though, isn't it?
Oh, it's like it's really lengthy.
Yeah,
We got a lot of paper.
but we have to limit ourselves to 24
Fine
pages,
print,
is it?
little tiny print,
20.
blow it up.
Okay, and then people are gonna be up here beating on us.
Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I do this? Make
25 words or less even.
Well, no.
Anything.
I think it was, the summary was 3 pages, but the attachments were 20 pages or something.
Even the summary would be great, because
Okay,
nobody
yeah.
knows anything. I
Okay.
have relatives asking me, what's going on with all that land? Where did we spend $1 million at, for what? I
Well,
can't tell them.
I don't know
I don't
if,
know.
no, I don't know if anybody read his summary. He never heard from anybody, so I guess he had no questions. Nobody asked questions except your relative.
I'm asking a
Oh, you
question.
had you.
I'm
That's
right
two people.
here. Yes, I'm asking.
People, I read, had a question.
We can put the PDF on the webpage.
That could be done. PDFs are easy
Yep.
to do.
Nikki, could you take care of that?
PDFs are quite,
So-
In your spare time?
So I don't send you, if he's gonna, they're gonna put the summary on the webpage, then we don't need to send it to you, is that what you're saying?
no,
Okay.
it needs to be sent out to everybody. If you just send it to me, and then it gets pigeonholed again.
Charles, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to have it put on a PDF on the webpage.
Okay. And Titus,
Yeah.
to your first question,
Yeah.
yes, it did fall through the cracks.
The rehab for the
apologize.
elders.
Well, is it in the
Rehab,
rural area?
I mean, wait a minute, Curtis has something though.
I do have a response. It did not fall through the
Well,
cracks.
okay, but as far as the council on it, I don't think we've discussed it in here or anything.
That is correct.
Okay. But let Curtis answer your question then.
Okay.
So the answer to,
You have to
the
share.
question is, I put in my report to you all, under the plans, coordinate with housing director to develop and submit additional housing program policies and procedures. I have already spoken with Ron. We have already developed an initial draft to get this started.
For
To
rehab.
produce a rehab program for privately owned residences by our tribal members. So we have started. And as I've said here, I'm going to coordinate with him to develop and submit these for your review, so that when we ultimately pass a resolution to approve the new policy, it will have adequate exposure for people to review and comment on before you approve your policy. So we are working on it. I just have not brought it out in the open yet. And then, of course, anything regarding taking the report that Dee gave on what is going on in Kansas would require the approval of the tribal council, particularly the secretary, before any of that public information goes out. And, you know, I would, of course, encourage the tribal council to look at it in its entirety first before it goes out. And as I mentioned to you, Michelle, and to Benita, at any time you want to schedule a trip, I'm ready to take you guys up there and show you our property in Caney, Lawrence, our historic reservation office in Emporia, even the property up in Leavenworth, so you kind of have your picture in your mind what we're dealing with already.
Curtis, I might make clarification for Titus, is that it's not what is going on in Kansas right now, it's what went on, it's what happened
Up
up
to
to
this
the day he resigned.
Any
Yeah,
information
okay.
would be great.
Right,
I don't know what went on, what's going on, but.
you'll know everything.
Okay, I have one more article of new business that I want to bring forth. Okay, great. This has to do with an education consortium of sorts. Basically, I've been involved with an organization called Mountaintop Education Services, and they are interested in developing some software for the Common Core curriculum for the third graders across the country. And this is often how things are developed in schools through these types of programs. They are looking to expand the Common Core curriculum and include native languages and native cultures. And they have asked if we would be their very first stop along the way in this software program. Basically what it does is it takes kids in this kind of mimicked, what do you call those? Those Sims. They call them Sims. They're make-believe people. Virtual people.
Mimes.
Yeah, mimes, and what they'll do is stop along different tribes, and ours would be the first, and there would be a little small piece snippet about something of the Delaware culture and where we lived, how we lived. She wants to include one of our stories and some samples of our language. And she has a lot of funding actually with some big funders. Investments, big investments. But she wants the tribes to have just as much of a footing. She doesn't want it to come from just big money. She wants tribes to lead the way. And to do that, we also need to have as much involvement as anybody with money. And also, she has met with the Lenape board, and we've looked at it. But we've warned her we don't want to be used in any sense for personal gain or for somebody else to, benefit off of our language and culture. And she's fully cognizant of that, and definitely wants to involve us in all aspects of this. So right now, what she's doing, what this publishing company is doing is asking for a letter of support, and then also if we'd be willing to be that first stop along this virtual Powwow Highway is what she's calling it.
Did you sign the contract?
There's no investment from us. Sorry, what did you say?
Would you sign a contract if they don't make no money off of us?
Yeah, she'd be willing to do that. But any money that they do end up making in the long run would be towards a national language, native language foundation is what she's calling it.
But she's gonna be selling the software, is that?
Right. There's a for-profit side of it, and there's a non-profit side of it.
Profit side is going back to the investors,
Yeah.
major part?
We can